So there's been a bit of discourse going around with Sonic. I mean, what else is new, right? I mean, there's discourse all the time with this series. No, this is actually towards the characterization of the main character, Sonic the Hedgehog. Not too long ago, I made a joke tweet from this panel from the Metal Virus arc in the IDW comics called Sonic the Yapper. And the responses to this, well, you know Sonic Twitter, right? Okay, so what is the point I'm trying to make here? Well, I just wanted to discuss how Sonic's characterization, in terms of the main series that is, hasn't been the same since 2009, and hasn't recovered since then. Now, if you guys like Sonic's characterization in the 2010s, and currently with the writing of Ian Flynn, then good, more power to you. I'm not trying to shoot down on what you like or what you enjoy. Everyone has a preference, and I respect that. But as for me, for my preference, I just want to say I wasn't a fan of Sonic's characterization in the 2010s, and unfortunately, I'm not a fan of Ian Flynn's writing and characterization of Sonic either. And that's what I'm going to discuss in this video. Let's get into it. Before I get into all the reasons why I'm not a fan of the current characterization of Sonic that we've been seeing since 2010, I want to talk about who Sonic the Hedgehog is to me, the real Sonic. Yeah! Sonic the Hedgehog is a youthful adventurer who is the embodiment of that free spirit in the wind. Now I want to point out that Sonic is not a traditional superhero. I mean, yeah, he has heroic traits, no doubt, but according to his early description of his characterization, he himself don't see himself as a hero. He doesn't fight for truth or justice or whatever. He's simply an adventurer with a heart of gold, with courage and self-confidence. Sonic is someone who, if he sees someone get bullied or harming others in the world and the environment that he lives in, then he won't be afraid to put a stop to it his own way. In the first game, when he sees Dr. Eggman turning his animal friends into robots and trying to harm the environment of South Island, Sonic, with no hesitation, tries to put a stop to his evil plans. Like I said, Sonic is not a hero, but he does what he feels is right. And because Sonic loves nature, because he's that embodiment of that free spirit, he's not going to let anyone or anything harm it, and that someone being Eggman. He doesn't fight Eggman because he's just some evil scientist or a supervillain. No, that's not it. He really don't care about that. Eggman is just a nuisance to his adventurous nature and wants to put a stop to him as soon as possible so he can just go on about his day. But at the same time, he has fun while doing it, because while he's trying to stop Eggman, he still has that adventure by his side. Sonic is somewhat of a flawed character at times. His fast nature can make him impatient, have a bit of an attitude, and sometimes can be a bit cocky at times, getting him into trouble. But at the end of the day, he's confident in himself and in who he is. Ever since 1991, the original characterization of Sonic has been consistent until 2010 with Sonic Colors. I've never really paid attention to this shift as a kid because I didn't care that much for Colors at the time, but it was in Lost World when I really noticed it. Sonic felt like a completely different character. The fact that he became this wisecracking, one-liner, quippy character is something that confused me. That's not to say Sonic never joked around from time to time, but that would usually be towards Eggman himself, and would be on rare occasions here and there. But here, almost every word that came out of this man's mouth is some unnecessary quip. It's almost like he's Spider-Man. Oh Lord. Okay. So for some unknown reason, people compare Sonic to Spider-Man. What? Why? Because he cracks corny jokes? Because he's a bit annoying? That's not Sonic. I don't get why people want Sonic to be the Spider-Man parody so bad. Sonic is Sonic, Spidey is Spidey. Why are these characters intersecting? Sonic is not the one to always joke around every second. He's all in all neutral when it comes to situations. He's always very observant, which makes him seem like a leader. But here in these games, Colors, Lost World, Forces, he doesn't seem like that at all. He's just your typical Saturday morning action cartoon protagonist masquerading as Sonic, which is another problem that I have with this false perception of Sonic.
I can't believe this! I was supposed to beat you this time!
I'm sorry. I didn't get that memo. I beat you every time. No, seriously. We beat this guy every time. It's like it's our job or something.
The way he says that he stops Eggman like, quote unquote, it's his job. Like his job? How? Like I said, it all goes back to Sonic not being a hero. He doesn't just stop Eggman time and time again because it's his moral obligation or he has to do his hero thing. It's simply because he sees Eggman as just a nuisance to his adventurous, free-spirited lifestyle. But he doesn't defeat him or kill him because he has fun while doing it. He has fun with Eggman time and time again. He doesn't care if Eggman is a supervillain or not. He just simply does it for the thrill of it. That simple. Call it selfish, but you know what? Sonic low-key has selfish traits, which doesn't make him a traditional superhero. You see? It's kind of like Goku from Dragon Ball. Now we say Goku is a hero and has heroic traits, but he himself also don't see himself as a hero. He's righteous, yes, but he also has those selfish traits that are flawed as well. But at the end of the day, both of these characters' hearts are in the right place, which is why I don't understand why people want Sonic to be the Spider-Man parody of a character so badly. And if you want further proof of this, enter Ian Flynn in the IDW comics. Do you see what I mean? The monologuing, the quipping. Am I reading a Sonic comic about Sonic the Hedgehog? I'm confused. This is where I go into Ian Flynn's writing portions, since it is the current state of writing for the Sonic series. I know this is going to make a lot of people mad, but me personally, I don't see that much of a difference in his writing besides the fact that he got more of a heroic status now in the comics. He's just known by the townspeople and everything, and he leans way more on the hero status than supposed to, which I'm not going to stress it enough, that's not who Sonic is. Sonic doesn't care about being a hero. And even in the way he talks make him sound too preachy, like a traditional superhero would, which is another issue that we have here. I'm going to show some examples of what I mean by this. In this panel, Sonic is trying to pull a talk no jutsu on Eggman on why he can't change for the better because of Mr. Tinker and why did you go back to being a villain and blah blah blah. And I'm sorry. Whatever context you want to put this in, this does not work. Sonic knows Eggman at this point. He's encountered him so many times to know that Eggman will never, ever, ever change. Not even with amnesia. This makes Sonic seem more of a pushover and less experienced. Sonic wouldn't think twice about if Eggman would redeem himself because he knows him by now. And I also want to point out this point that Tailspin made, shout out to him by the way, because he made a tweet saying that Sonic is desperately trying to force Eggman to be Mr. Tinker and become something that he's not, which Sonic will never make someone into something that they're not. And that's a great point because here's a thing about Eggman and Sonic's dynamic. Even though they've been enemies for years, low-key they have a mutual respect for one another, meaning they both accept that neither one of them is going to change. There's a scene in Sonic X that had Sonic smiling, stating that Eggman will never change, and he states back that he won't. That alone shows the respect the two have for each other regardless of being longtime enemies, which is another reason why this scene is out of character for Sonic. Another example of this is this panel with Metal Sonic, where Sonic just lashes out at him for choosing to go back with Eggman, which you literally gave him a choice to do so, and by letting him go in the process. But now all of a sudden you're calling him a one-note jerk, which he was created to be. Like, do you guys see my point here? And my point of where Sonic is being too preachy towards his enemies. If you don't have a problem with this, then good. Once again, you like what you like. But I'm going to explain why I don't. First of all, Sonic is being hypocritical here. He literally let Metal Sonic go and said that he gave him a choice, meaning if he wanted to go back to Eggman, he could. It doesn't make any sense for Sonic to respond the way he did, because while yes, he chose to go back with Eggman, but at the same time, it was his choice he made. but Sonic never respected his choice. He just lost his cool here, which is another point that I will get to in a minute. If you want to go into more of this pattern, let's look at this infamous panel right here. You already know just of this. Sonic is being too preachy to his enemies, and yeah. Let me ask you this. What do you notice whenever Sonic has a rival or someone who opposes him? Someone like Knuckles, Silver, Shadow, Blaze. What do you notice when Sonic encounters them? Doesn't talk rationally to them, because again, Sonic is not the type of guy to be rational with. Let's look at his first encounter with Shadow. When he found out that his lookalike was the one who got him framed, he doesn't question or tries to talk to him, he just runs into action wanting the smoke, and it happens throughout Sonic Adventure 2. He basically never cared about Shadow or tried to see the good in him, he simply saw him as yet another obstacle in his way of his adventure. Now let's look at someone like Blaze the Cat, for example. First encounter, Sonic is confused about who this mysterious girl is. He didn't really pay her any mind at first until he kept encountering Dr. Eggman Nega, the Soul Dimension version of the main Dr. Eggman. Because of that, Sonic figures that she might have some connection to that and wants to find her to get answers as to what is going on. He really doesn't fight Blaze till the very end when she gets all frustrated about the burden of protecting the Soul Emeralds and not relying on anyone. She tries to fight Sonic, which causes Sonic to want to fight her. He doesn't think about talking rationally to her, but simply just wants to throw hands. However, in his mind, he knows that Blaze is going through a lot, and in simple fashion, he just tells her that she got the weight of the world on her shoulders. Not to be snarky or anything, but just telling her straight up. And in the final clash, Sonic pushes Blaze off. Because Sonic is righteous, he properly greets her, and because of Blaze's encounter with Sonic and his friends, that caused Blaze to have a change of heart. See, Sonic inspires others by his actions alone, not by giving them a long monologue or preaching to them like some entitled good doer, but just by his actions alone. Sonic is not afraid to smack a bit of sense to someone to say, hey, this doesn't have to be this way. Same with Knuckles and Shadow. But technically Amy was the one who talked Shadow into remembering Maria's wishes, but Sonic's actions also inspired Shadow as well, where he referred to Sonic as, quote-unquote, the true ultimate life form, gaining his respect.
Sonic, I think I've discovered what the ultimate life form is. It might be you.
But here, when he's fighting Surge, I don't get that at all. I mean, sure, he throws hands with her, but mostly he talks rationally with Surge instead of letting his actions do all the talking for him. I get that this is a comic book, but you have to understand that these comics are connected to the games. So if they're connected, then the characterization has to be accurate, right? But let's go beyond the comics. Let's look at Sonic Frontiers. When Sonic first encounters Sage, questions who she is, her being cryptic, and as usual, Sonic just doesn't care and goes about his objective. But when Sage tries to attack Sonic with the Titan robots, he just talks rationally with Sage about trying to find out what's going on. And when Sage tries to attack Sonic and Knuckles tries to fight her, Sonic just stops Knuckles from wanting to throw hands even though she attacked you. This is weird, because usually in these situations, oh, that's why. Okay, no disrespect towards Ian Flynn, but the way he writes Sonic, I don't vibe with at all. Like, please tell me, what's going on? I want to help Sage, please. And Sage is just giving him the middle finger the entire time, which, once again, makes Sonic look like a complete pushover. Like I said before, Sonic is not the type to talk rationally towards his enemies. So now that I've scratched the surface a bit on why Sonic's characterization is not how it used to be, I'm going to talk about the main reason on why I think this panel right here is so stupid. I want you guys to look at this panel and tell me what's Sonic about what he's saying here. Should I check for survivors? And do what, smart guy? You can't carry them to safety. And if a Zombot gets lucky hit on Tails Gizmo, we lose out on data. So, which is right? Risking it all to maybe save one person? Or keep on running so I can save anyone? My guy, you are literally the fastest thing alive. Run, my nigga! What? Sonic doubting himself? Questioning himself on what he's doing is right or wrong? The song It Doesn't Matter is referred to as the theme song for Sonic as a character. Here's some of the lyrics to the song.
It doesn't matter now what happens, I will never give up the fight. There is no way I will run away from all of my prize. As long as the voice inside me says go, I will always keep on running. There is no way to stop me from going to the very top. It doesn't matter who is wrong or who is right.
In the cutscene of Sonic 06, where Elise was worrying about the flames of disaster, he just grabs her hand, forcing Elise to start running with him.
Sonic, wait! I can't run that fast.
Don't worry. Just raise your head and run. Feels great, doesn't it?
Yes, I've never run so fast before.
And after that, he says,
Nothing starts until you take action. If you have time to worry, then run.
that alone is perfect in terms of Sonic's character, because he's basically telling Elise to keep moving forward when things seem bleak, being a symbol of that unbreakable spirit in his heart of gold, inspiring someone else who was going through something, like he did with Blaze in Sonic Rush, or like he did with Tails when they first met, when he was struggling with his self-confidence. Sonic's inspiring nature bounces off of people that he meets, with Tails, with Amy, with Knuckles, with Shadow. All of his friends and allies change their outlook because of Sonic's actions, him being a role model through his actions. And in Sonic Unleashed, it sums it up perfectly.
Even at night when I'm like this, I'm still myself, not like all the other people we've seen. You must have been protecting me this whole time.
I haven't done anything, Sonic. You're the reason you haven't changed at all. You're too strong to lose yourself.
I'm the reason?
Yeah, you never doubt yourself, no matter what. You never give in to the night or the darkness inside your heart. I think it's because I knew that about you.
Again, never doubts himself no matter what. As the Werehog, he changes on the outside, but mentally, on the inside, he's still the same Sonic. Hell, even on the Japanese box art of the very first Sonic game, it has a quote by Sonic stating this: "Don't just sit there and waste your precious time. When you want to do something, do it right away. Do it when you can. It's the only way to live a life without regrets." I see a lot of people say this makes sense in terms of the context. Sonic hasn't slept in days. He's fighting off the metal virus. He's in a near-death situation. So he's questioning himself, doubting himself on whether or not what he's doing is right. And do you know what this panel reminds me so much of?
I'm tired. I've been fighting this guy for nearly 12 hours straight. I haven't had anything to eat or drink. And he's not even tired. But I am. I'm hurt, and I'm tired, and I want to go home, and I want to sleep, and I don't want to be here, and I think... Can I let this one go? Can I let it be someone else's problem? Just for a minute? So I can rest?
This panel from a Spider-Man comic. See how I say Sonic is masquerading as Spider-Man? Apparently, this makes Sonic not a quote-unquote boring character and makes him more relatable, right? But here's the thing though. Number one, and I can't stress this enough, Sonic is not Spider-Man. And two, Sonic the Hedgehog isn't supposed to be relatable. That's not his character. The goody two-shoes, quippy, typical teenage superhero persona, that is not who Sonic is. Sonic is an inspirational character. And the whole Sonic used to be a boring character or was never a consistent character debate is just so false, because Sonic was always a consistent character since 1991. It was those 2010s games that damaged that into turning Sonic into something that he's not. Sonic is never meant to show grief or vulnerability towards us, the viewers, which is why scenes like this.
Tails, no!
Those rotten, sneaky... Tails acted for the greater good. Let's make sure his sacrifice isn't for nothing.
I'm supposed to be the fastest, but I was too slow to save my buddy.
Seem like,
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
because Sonic would never say that. I also want to point out this Twitter response to this person that asked Naoto Shima, you know, one of Sonic's original creators, the question of, has Sonic ever cried? And this is what Naoto Shima responded. Sonic thinks the tears of true grief will not show to anyone. Boom, straight out of the horse's mouth. Sonic's original creator literally states that Sonic does not show vulnerability or grief towards his friends or to us, the viewers. Which is why I don't get how some people call someone who just want the characterization of Sonic to be on point a quote-unquote Japanese purist or whatever, and insulting that person just for speaking facts. And that's fine. They can have their Spider-Man parody of Sonic, because we're getting just that. But the bottom line is, as someone like me who has been a fan of Sonic, and someone who was and still is inspired by his original characterization, it's just unfortunate how many fans just always saw his character as being too boring, too stale, or lacking any depth because of who he was. This scene does not work no matter what context you put it in, because it contradicts everything that Sonic has gone through. I know that he's going through a near-death experience. I know that he's going through pain. But hasn't Sonic been through near-death experiences time and time again? In Sonic Adventure 2, when he thought he was going to be toast, he just kept a smile on his face, telling Tails to leave everything to him. Colors. When Eggman's interstellar amusement park was getting ready to blow up, creating a black hole, Sonic doesn't just stop and be like, oh my god, what am I going to do? How am I going to escape this black hole? With his face still determined, he just runs, trying to escape the black hole. Even though he said this may not end well, he still kept that determination of outrunning the black hole. I know technically he didn't outrun the black hole. Hell, Sonic was literally killed by Mephiles, but when he came back to life, he still kept his unbreakable spirit. And in Unleashed, it's the same principle. His demeanor is always cool, calm, and collected. When faced with adversity, he always finds a way to come out on top without losing his smile. I don't understand the debate of Sonic being a relatable character. He's not like Spider-Man or Batman or Ben 10. He's simply an inspiration, and that's all he needs to be. Now I want to give credit where credit is due. I really love this scene in Frontiers where Sonic is almost getting corrupted by the cyber energy, and Sage was telling him, how can you keep smiling when you can barely stand? And Sonic, by not saying anything, kept smiling and still kept moving forward to climb to the next towers to save his friends. Keep in mind, he's been fighting off the cyber corruption with no sleep, trying to rescue his friends. Now does that sound familiar? This is literally the same premise of the Melvirus arc. So what's the difference? Why are people defending this when it's literally the same premise with the same writer? And also, even though it's not written by Ian Flynn, so far I'm really enjoying the new writer's arc written by Evan Stanley so far. Mostly because I feel like the real Sonic was there. I like how she's writing him with the whole Phantom Rider persona, because it shows that Sonic is not a superhero and doesn't mind playing the bad guy every once in a while, especially if it's to buy his friends some time. So how do I close this video off? Well, I just want to say that Sonic stopped being an inspiration and just became something that he's not. While I do enjoy some moments of his character in Frontiers, throughout the whole game it kind of felt more like the IDW elements creeping into the game. And Dream Team had some of those same issues, and recently with the Generations rewrite, redub, whatever you want to call it, Sonic's character to me has not yet to be recovered since 2010, and it took me this long to realize it. It's slightly better with Flynn's writing, but it's more of the same stuff we've been seeing with slight modifications. Like I said before, if you like the 2010's characterization of Sonic, then good, more power to you. If you like Ian Flynn's characterization of Sonic, then good, more power to you. I'm not trying to shoot down on what you enjoy, but for me, I miss the real Sonic. The Sonic who had flaws, but doesn't question it because he does what he felt was right. The Sonic who felt like a leader, a role model, like in Sonic and the Black Knight. In fact, it was in that moment where Sonic's character truly peaked and never made a return since 2009. Sayonara, Sonic the Hedgehog. If you guys made it to the end of this video, and if you guys liked the video, make sure to give this video a huge thumbs up. And also, if y'all are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. And also make sure to follow my socials as well. With that being said, have a good day, have a good night, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace!